He was plying us with free vapes, free weed. I look back on it and reflect on it that it feels like I was the payment.
It makes me angry, this type of offenders, like how dare you?
We're investigating the predators who use vapes to exploit children. As rogue vape shops spring up across the country, we've previously revealed warnings from trading standards enforcers of a new hidden front line in child sexual abuse.
You're worried that there's some sort of child exploitation thing going on here as well?
I do. I think it's an epidemic.
Now we hear from the police and victims. Grooming isn't going away. It's changing with the times. It's a terrifying new reality on our high streets. Abusers luring children with vapes. And in this town, it led to grooming, sexual assault, and rape. Cheam, South London. We're here to meet Erin. She was 14 years old when she met Tony, the owner of a vape shop round the corner from her school.
Two of my friends were going along to the shop and then they invited me along with them one day. I think I'd never really been in a vape shop before, so to me it was almost like the first time of a child going into a big sweet shop. Just lots of colourful things around you.
First, Tony gave Erin, which is not her real name, and her school friends free vapes.
The vapes were the main thing that I could go in and say, I want 5 vapes, and he would give me 5 vapes.
Next, he lured them to a back room with alcohol and vapes laced with synthetic cannabis, or THC.
He had a room at the back of the shop and it had like a futon sofa bed and a TV, and they would be allowed to hang out there.
Detective Sergeant Toyen Late led the case for the Metropolitan Police.
He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew how to do it, and he knew that having vapes and having this kind of business was exactly how he would be able to meet younger females, you know, younger children, and groom them, and to then, you know, get what he wanted.
Tony put the THC vapes on the very top shelf of the back room. He would pick Erin up to reach them, and on 3 occasions sexually assaulted her as she did so.
I felt like I shouldn't have been feeling what I was feeling, but I was still getting it for free. There was alarm bells ringing everywhere and I just didn't pay attention too long.
A few months later, Erin had been at a friend's party and had had too much to drink.
I didn't want to call home in fear of the consequences, so I called the next trusted adult that I could think of, which in that moment in time was Tony.
Tony gave Erin more alcohol and THC vapes and took her to the room at the back of the shop.
I wasn't fully conscious, I'd say, at the time. And then he had baby oil, and he used that baby oil and was like, he started off just massaging my lower legs and just kind of worked his way. And then when I woke up and kind of regained consciousness, he was inside of me. So there wasn't really anything I could do about it. He was a lot bigger than me as well, so yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Tony's real name is Iqbal Singh. He's 45 from Afghanistan. What's so shocking is the abuse that took place on this high street was not a one-off. This man ran another vape shop where he assaulted another teenager just months before. Singh was on bail for sexually assaulting a 16-year-old at his previous vape shop in Bromley when he raped Erin at his second store in Cheam.
How do you feel about the fact that he had done this before in a different shop to a different girl?
It makes it feel very calculated. It was, yeah, his whole scheme of things was very, very calculated. The baby oil, the tequila, the limes, the salt, like he had everything set up and ready to go.
In the trial, Singh showed no remorse. Erin's mum sat through it all.
I think he's absolute scumbag. if I'm honest, and I think he's really calculated and it was very planned. And I don't think I could ever envisage that I would, as a parent, I would be in that position of needing to try and support my daughter through dealing with something so traumatic.
Singh's business has shut down, but the Met fears there are other offenders in high streets across the country committing similar crimes.
This, potentially could just be the tip of the iceberg.
The police also believe Singh had other victims.
And how much do you think about those other school children who were taken to that back room in his shop?
It bothers me a lot because for me, I'm like, you are out there. And we can, we want to bring him to justice for you. I'm very certain there are other victims out there, and I urge them to come forward.
Detective Sergeant Late and Erin's mum are now calling for stringent new checks on people selling vapes.
For me, the one thing I would like to see change is checks put in place. I think it's a massive issue, and I don't understand why there isn't more regulation.
If you are applying for a business licence or if you are looking to open a business, you need to be checked. There needs to be, DBS checks, you need to have criminal background checks by the local authorities to ascertain who are you.
Earlier this month, Iqbal Singh was sentenced to 14 years in prison for rape and sexual assault.
When he gets out, I'm going to be a whole different person. And yeah, it's a very long time that he's going to be away.
Erin is now at university and excited about her future, but has this warning from her past.
Don't feel like you need to grow up straight away, and don't feel like it's cool to be vaping. Yeah, that is probably my final message, is just to be safe. Don't be overcautious, but be safe. Yeah.
Across Britain, the vape shop surge continues as rogue operators hide in plain sight, raising urgent questions about how the authorities protect children from vapes and the predators who use them to exploit their young victims.
Kieran Jenkins with that report. Now, if you've been affected by any of the issues in his piece, you can seek help by going to channel4.com/support. And if you have any information on those issues that you'd like us to look into, please contact our investigations team by emailing c4investigations@itn.co.uk. Well, let's talk more now about this with Maggie Oliver, the former detective constable with Greater Manchester Police, who blew the whistle on the Rochdale grooming scandal. Maggie Oliver, thank you very much for coming on the programme. I think you saw that report, just as shocked by it as I was. But do you think it's been taken seriously enough, this phenomenon?
Well, I've seen this all before, and listening to your story there and Erin and her mum, I could replace vape shops with kebab shops and taxi firms. The parallels are, unavoidable, really, targeting vulnerable children, using substances to lower inhibitions, power balance, all of those things. I think what happened in Rochdale and Rotherham and Telford and all those places are that the authorities turned away. And by the time anything was done, it was far too late to protect the children that were caught up in that pattern of rape and abuse. What I would like to see now is what has happened with Erin's case, in that there has been decisive action. It seems that there is an awareness. This child rapist is better than what we were seeing years ago. And I think what is similar, though, is that abuser had a kind of a distorted view of age and consent, and they use substances in order to lower the inhibitions of these children. So it's horrifying, and it destroys lives. But I think that in the rape gang scandal, what happened that made it even worse was that the authorities turned away and pretended it wasn't happening.
So what should happen now? Should there be a much greater campaign of public awareness? Should the police get much?
Is really important.
Right.
I will be listening to what Erin's mum said about doing checks on the vape shops, bringing in better, all those things will help.
Because I think in Kieran's first piece, we found that the Trading Standards Commission was much more interested in this abuse than the police were.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, today there's been the, publication of the terms of reference for this new inquiry. And yet again, today we've had the Home Secretary referring to these cases as historical. They're not historical. And my work with my charity, the Maggie Oliver Foundation, we are supporting victims of all kinds of sexual abuse every day. And unfortunately, the police are on the knees, the courts. We've got 5-year waits for trials. We need investment. We need commitment. We need child protection being prioritised. And, I think the health and safety workers are not desensitized to the impact of this kind of abuse on children. And it was really heartwarming to see that they were taking it seriously.
But
I hope that
right. And if vape shops are now the front line of this new version of a grooming scandal, I mean, they should be part of the grooming inquiry, shouldn't they?
No, I think you've got to focus on what we are already looking at. I think the answer for the vape shops is to act now and prevent it from getting worse. There is awareness now that your story is a fabulous story that really focuses on the detail, but it's not the first case that I've heard of. So this is a growing threat in our country to children. And I think that there should be checks. I think that the checks on the people who open these shops should be a lot more firm, and that we should do everything we can to prevent them from expanding unchecked. We've already should have learned from the failures of what's happened with the victims of the rape gangs. We do not want another national scandal where the authorities turn away from another generation of children who will have their lives destroyed.
Maggie Oliver, thank you very much for coming on the programme.
Thank you.